everybody, and welcome to Art Appreciation. This is for the fall 2026 semester. So, this is going to be your introduction to the class. We're going to talk about Canvas, we're going to talk about assignments, we're going to talk about schedules, all of that good stuff. So, when you first come into the Canvas homepage, this should be what you see. You hopefully have already looked at this and have been on the homepage. You can view all the information about the class here, all that good stuff. You can click the start here. I actually recommend going over to modules. You're also going to see to do, so that's going to be what's coming up. So you should see there's something due August the 21st, which is going to be Friday. Nope, it's Sunday. Is it Sunday or Friday? I don't remember. But you have something coming up soon. So, when you go over to modules, that's always where I suggest people follow this class. These two will be open. I always recommend closing things. If you want to go through and look at those, they're just helpful sort of resources if you get stuck on something in this class or if you get stuck with online learning. So the first thing you should do is work through the Start Here module, which we're going to kind of work through together. So if you want to do things in a separate tab while we talk about it here, that's fine. So I always say start with things in order. So this video should be with the Welcome to Canvas video. That should be what you're watching right now. So we're going to start with the what next. So that's going to be our syllabus, our course schedule and module checklist, and then the syllabus and plagiarism contract. So you can actually just click next to go to the next things. So this is our syllabus. It's got all of the information about the class. I'm going to just kind of briefly touch over things. You do need to read this just so you know what's going on. We do have a required textbook. It should be available via the Jax books. I think it still says first day, but it'll be Jax books. It is Preble's Art Forms by Patrick Frank. One of the biggest problems that happens in this class is people do not cite the textbook correctly. And I'm going to take off points for that. We do have to cite things in this class, especially with AI. Just all of your college classes in general are going to be much more strict about citations. So you're going to have assignments in this class where you cite the textbook. Mainly that's so I know where you're at in the textbook. I can follow your page numbers. What I've had students do in the past and what I did when I was in college is I would keep a document that had my textbook citation and my textbook in text citation, and I could just copy and paste it over as I needed it. You have your MLA format. We use MLA in this class. But we have your MLA format bibliographic citation right here. So anytime you have a works cited section, this should be included. You can literally just copy and paste it from this syllabus and it will be correct. Now, there is a man whose last name is Preble's, and he is the one that wrote the first edition. He did not write the 12th edition. Our main author is going to be Patrick Frank. He's just continuing the tradition of Preble's Art Forms. So if you put Preble's as the author in a citation, you're wrong. It is Patrick Frank, and I will take off points. I usually give you like a warning just in case you forgot for a moment. But it is Patrick Frank. And I'm only harping on this because I've had it happen so many times in the past. And I just giving a warning this semester that it is right here in your syllabus, all of your textbook information. So let's move on. This is going to be all my contact info. So I do have digital office hours. I still recommend you email me before office hours. If you need to talk to me, shoot me an email. Just in case I'm meeting with another student and I can't just immediately hop on Teams. Just send me an email and tell me like about what time, or send me an email and say I need to talk to you right now. And we can work it out. I can meet face to face. I teach online. I do have another job. So meeting face to face is really difficult. Not just for me, but for you, it's going to be difficult. Trying to find time to schedule usually ends up being weird hours. I don't have an office on campus, so finding a place to meet is hard. We can't meet in like a public place because if we're talking about your grades or your assignments, all of that is protected. It's all private. So I can't talk about it with or around anyone else but you. So we can't just meet up at a coffee shop, or we can't go to Starbucks and talk about this. So usually it entails emailing the library and scheduling a room and meeting there, and it takes time to make all of those things happen. So, and then half the time I've gotten there after I've scheduled a room, and the library's like, we can't let you in. We don't have a key. So whoever had the key for that's gone today. And I'm like, well, I scheduled it for 7 p.m. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So I would prefer to meet on Teams unless it's just something that you absolutely need to meet in person for. Email, Teams, all of that is best. This is just the standard grading policy. We do have deadlines in this class for a reason. You will lose 10% every day that something's late. So after 10 days, you get an automatic 0. You can give me an excuse, but it needs to be a valid excuse. An excuse of, oh, I was out of town because I was visiting family, or I didn't feel like doing it, or I had this other event going on, this sorority event going on, or fraternity event going on. Those are not valid excuses. That doesn't count as an excuse for this class. You have 2 weeks for each module. So I recommend starting assignments earlier in that 2-week span. Don't wait until the last minute. If you go out of town the weekend that something's due, you had 2 whole weeks before that to get it done. So if you know you're going to be out of town, you know that something's coming up, an event's coming up, do it before that event happens. That's not a valid excuse. Now, if there's severe weather, if you've got a university event, things like that, you've been sick, you have a doctor's excuse. You do have to have a doctor's excuse if you've been sick. So even if it's just a cold, go get a doctor's excuse. So anything like that. And when you email me about it, go ahead and send me an excuse if you've got one. Usually if it's like a university related event, your professor or your sponsor or your coach should email me. But if you notice like I've deducted points on something and I shouldn't have because you were out with university something, shoot me an email and or ask your coach, sponsor, whoever to send me an email. Either of those works. If you are having computer problems or anything like that, there are computer labs all over campus. This is an online class. You are expected to have access to a computer. You're expected to have access to the internet. You're expected to have access to Canvas and to your email. If you are not able to have access to any of those things, I would suggest trying to get in an in-person class. You're going to struggle if you don't have reliable access to internet, computer, any of that stuff. I will say for like software requirements, I do recommend using Firefox. I don't know why. Canvas just runs better on Firefox. There's certain things that will not open in Google Chrome. They just won't. And we're not going to talk about Microsoft Edge or Safari because if you're using that. Get some help. Firefox or Google Chrome is the way to go. Some things just won't open in Google Chrome, and I don't know why, and nobody else does either. So I do recommend Firefox. You will need to be able to view YouTube or MP4 videos. Most things I've got embedded into the class, so it doesn't take you to YouTube itself anymore. But occasionally there'll be a link to a YouTube video. I'm not really going to include things to other video streaming sites. It's almost always going to be either YouTube or you're able to watch it on Canvas. Communication policy. When you email me, make sure you try to give me about 24 hours to respond. I do check my email at least once a day, unless something's going on. You know, you've got life things going on. I've got life things going on too. Like I said, I have another job. So I usually try to check my email at the end of the day. But just in case I've missed your email, sometimes things get moved to the spam folder and I don't realize it. Or they just get lost in the shuffle and I open it and don't realize I've opened it and I forget to reply. So if you don't get an email within 24 hours, you can reply to that email or send me another one and say, hey, did you get my email? But don't send me like an email every hour on the hour until you get a response. Because I'm not going to be very nice to you when I do respond. I try to have things graded before the next module is due. Last semester I did get a little bit behind. I was also had 2 classes added on me like the week the classes started. So I really just had more classes than I was expecting, and it was a hard time for me to keep up with all of that. This semester we shouldn't have a problem. I try to get things so that way you can keep up with what you're doing wrong. So like if you're doing citations wrong, you don't do it again on the next assignment. So I try to have it back to you as soon as I can. If you are getting behind, if you're struggling with something, anything like that, send me an email as soon as you realize there's a problem, whether it be with software and with Canvas, whether it be understanding how to use the site, whether it be a video's acting up, you don't understand how to do an assignment, you're just struggling in the class in general, you're having a hard time with time management, anything like that, email me as soon as you realize there's a problem. The problem with online courses for me is I don't see you every day. So in a classroom, I'm going to notice if you're not coming to class every day. For an online class, we don't have attendance like that. So if you miss 2 modules of assignments, that's a month of work that you've missed. And it's almost impossible to make that up. Plus, you lose 10% every day that something's late. So unless you have a good excuse, you've just lost those points. So if you're struggling, if something's going on, send me an email. I can point you in the direction of resources on campus. If you don't want to reach out to those resources directly, I can have them reach out to you. So if you're struggling with anything, just send me an email as soon as you realize it's happening. Usually by the time that I realize there's a trend and something's happening, it's too late. It's already been a month or a month and a half. And that's a huge chunk of the semester. I mean, we're here for about 3.5 months, so almost 4 months. So if you miss a month, that's a quarter of the class that you have not done. If you're having issues with Canvas, there is Canvas Help or online at JSU should be able to help you with that. Academic misconduct and plagiarism, all of this should be in your student handbook. Don't use other people's work. Don't copy and paste directly from a website or the textbook without citing it. You shouldn't just copy and paste anyway. You should paraphrase, summarize what you've read. But even then, you should credit your sources. We don't use AI in this class either. If you are, there might be a few assignments that I will let you use AI with a citation saying you are using AI. Most of the assignments in this class, that is not the case. So if you use AI and I catch you using AI in this class, you will get an automatic 0 for the grade. I'll give you one warning, and then I will report you to the university. And I don't want to have to do that because it's a pain for me and it's a pain for you, and it goes on your record, and it's just a bad time. Most of the assignments in this class are designed where it will be harder for you to use AI than to just do the assignment. But even then, like, I don't want this class to be the thing, to be the most difficult class you take. I do want you to learn things in this class for sure. But you're going to get more out of this class if you do not use AI. We do have resources on campus if you need help with writing, and I know a lot of people will write something and run it through AI for corrections. You can actually go to the writing center for that, and they will do it for you without you having to use AI. So you don't risk your grade. You don't risk getting a 0 because you used AI, even if it was just to correct something you already wrote. That's what the writing center's for. Use them. They're free. It's a free resource. I think they'll also do digital consultations, so you don't even have to go to them. You just have to schedule an appointment. There's also the Student Success Center, so if you need help, help with tutoring, with more instructions, with coaching about time management, anything like that, they're there to help you. So again, go make an appointment, email them, contact them. They're here to help. Like, we want you to succeed. The rest of this is just our standard things that we have to include. So we have our disability accommodations. If you need accommodations, email me and let me know, so that we can be on top of that. We have services for veterans or members of the military. We have our Title IX statement. So I don't plan on discriminating against anyone. But if you do notice discrimination on campus, we have resources for that. The benefit of an online class is I can't see you, so I don't know what you look like to discriminate against you. And I'm too lazy to look up your pictures, just to be honest. So if you need counseling or anything like that, we have those services available on campus as well. So next we're going to go to the course schedule and module checklist. You can click it here or here, either one. So I will say this might end up being a little bit different. So as of right now, each module is due on a Sunday. So the due dates are there. We have a list of assignments. Some of these assignments, everything on this could change. I retain the right to change any of this at any time. These things will be due this week, like no later than these dates. But let's go back to modules. So you have a survey here. Art Appreciation Student Survey. So in this survey, one of the questions is, what days of the week do you prefer for assignments to be due? And I ask this because the default has always been Sundays. There's other questions in this too, but the default has always been Sundays at 11:59 p.m. So you have the full week to get everything in by that due date. However, Last semester, I had a lot of people that would go out of town or visit family or travel on the weekends. And they were the people who also waited till the last minute to do their assignments. Um, but they would be gone all weekend and try to get everything turned in as soon as they got back on Sunday night. And so their stuff would very often be late. So, and I'm one of those people that Friday, as soon as the day is over, I'm turning off work mode and going into weekend mode. So, if you can do that as a student, amazing. I didn't get that luxury as a student, but if you get to do that, awesome, great. I want you to do that. That being said, if you're going to turn off student mode on Friday afternoon and go into weekend mode, then having something due on Sunday is going to be really difficult, especially if you're going to wait until the last minute to turn it in. So if another day if the week works better, if you'd rather have assignments due on Thursdays or Fridays or whatever day, I've put it in the survey so you can tell me. We're going to go by majority rules, so don't think just because you chose Monday, all of your assignments will be due on a Monday. If the majority of people click Sunday, we'll leave it as is, and all of the due dates on that module checklist will be right. If everybody votes for Wednesdays, then we'll do Wednesdays, just whatever. So that's there whenever you get a chance to look at that. So the course schedule module checklist will probably change unless we leave it on Sundays. But that's there just as a general guideline. Everything will still be listed, and we'll get there in just a second. So let's go back to this. This is about me. I'm not going to read it to you. It's also not loading super well for some reason. We've had storms, so my internet's acting up. But I am a JSU, Jax State alum. I graduated with a BFA in photography, and then I went and got my master's in art history from the University of Alabama. Been teaching since 2018, I think. Maybe. It's been a minute. I also work at a library, and so I do a lot. At some point, you will probably hear my cats in the background of a lecture video, either picking at a door or singing us the song of their people. So if this loads for you, there are pictures of them. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. If you want to read more, you can read what I wrote up. So let's go back to modules. Okay. You also have a syllabus and plagiarism contract. This is a quiz. It is going to be basically making sure that you have read the syllabus. Some of it is going to be about citations. So if you need to refresh yourself on how to write citations, there's info in the quiz about that. We do use MLA format citations in this class. So if you need help with MLA format, I suggest either going to the Purdue OWL, which and I know it's from another university, but they have a really good guide, and everybody uses it. I use this at UA. I use this at Jax State. We're going to use the MLA guide. So you can see what kind of things you need inside text citations, works cited page, how to cite certain things. So if you need to cite books, it's going to tell you how to do that. It's going to give you examples, all that good stuff. There's also a discussion. This is going to be an intro about yourself. It's a pretty easy 10 points, to be honest. The main reason for this is so I can do enrollment verification. It takes me a little bit longer to get through the plagiarism contract. And so this is really your first main assignment so that I can do enrollment verification. If you don't have anything done, haven't done anything by August the 21st, I can't verify your enrollment. So that will affect student aid, that will affect scholarships, that could affect your enrollment in the class. So make sure you do something by the due date. And then again, this is your survey. We do have a student lounge. This is just open forum. You can ask questions to each other. I can view this. I don't view this. So if you have questions about assignments or anything like that, you can talk to your classmates here. If you want to get a study group together and do assignments together, that's fine. I will say I had two students last semester that did their assignments together, and they worded everything almost exactly the same because they did their assignments together. So make sure if you are doing your assignments together that you're actually still writing your own thing. You're not word for word writing the same thing as somebody else, because that'll pop up as plagiarism, and I don't have any proof against it. Like, it'll still have to be a 0 with the course policies. So your modules will show up like this. There will be 7 modules in this class. They're each 2-week span. So you're going to start with your lesson introduction and additional resources. You're always going to have a lesson introduction. Your additional resources you don't always have to look at unless you just want to know more. Some of them have really cool things. They're almost always videos. So if you learn better by watching a video, that's usually a good place to go. And then you're going to have your graded tasks. You're usually going to have about 3, sometimes 4 graded tasks. You're always going to have lecture notes. So I will have a recorded lecture that's going to be me telling you about the works of art. You're going to take notes on that. The main thing about your notes, which I'll talk about this again when I do the first lecture, but the main thing is that I should be able to tell that you watched the entire lecture. You didn't just skip around. You didn't ask AI to do it for you. You actually watched the whole lecture. Usually the best way to do that is to include each work of art. And it can just be the title. It can be the artist's name. It can be the title and the artist. But just list each one of those and then write what I say in the lecture about each thing underneath it. If you have questions about that or need help with that, just let me know. There is a template. You don't have to use the template. And you can write your notes however you want to. Some people draw little doodles. Some people have it very typed, very formal. I had one guy that did it in essay format, and it was awful. And I was like, you're doing so much extra work that you don't have to do. But if that's how you learn best, then that's fine. I'll take it. You can handwrite your notes. You just have to either take photos or scan them so that they're all in one document. A lot of people last semester took photos and then put it into a Word document and submitted the Word document. That works. You can scan it as a PDF and turn it in that way. That works too. However you want to get it into me is fine. I will take them in any form. The vocab quiz is straight from your textbook. It is another way to get you reading and learning that vocabulary. The first 2 modules, the vocabulary is very important. It's going to follow you all the way through the rest of this class. So that's why we include a vocab quiz. And then this is going to be a writing assignment with a peer review. So the assignment itself is not due till September the 6th, but you'll get your peer review assignment on the 30th, I believe. So if you get it done early, you'll have access to your peer reviews early, and you can get everything done very quickly. You'll have the rest of your modules underneath. I just don't have them published yet where you can see them because I'm double checking, make sure everything is right. You do have extra credit assignments in this class. You can do these at any time. Ignore this due date. But you can complete these at any time. I will say, think about like fall break. Think about Thanksgiving when you're doing gallery visits. There are 2 galleries on campus. There's the Hammond Hall Gallery and then the Roundhouse Gallery. And there's also a student gallery in Hammond Hall. You can visit those on campus anytime you want to. If the door's like locked during the day, you can go in the main entrance to Hammond and they'll let you in. They'll let you into the gallery. They do have show openings, and I'll try to share when there's a show opening so you'll know in case you want to do that for your assignment. If you go somewhere and visit somewhere out of town, you can go to a gallery there. If you go into Atlanta for a weekend, you can go to the High or go to a local gallery. If you've got a gallery in your hometown, you can do that. But you're just going to write a paper about it. It's very open-ended. It's only 1 page. If you want to include pictures, you can. It's meant to be to get you looking at art. And I think it's 15 points, which, I mean, would replace this grade, would give you a 70 if you missed a lecture notes. Anything that's extra credit is going to show up as 0 points until I manually put the grade in. But it'll say it's worth 0 points, but that's because it isn't going to count against you. You'll get 15 out of 0 points, so it gives you that bonus. And the final discussion is just, you'll have to wait till the end of the semester, but what did you like about the class kind of thing. This is your final project. You can go ahead and view it. You can go ahead and start working on it. You can start on it at any point during the semester. I'll usually give you a reminder sometime around midterm. I usually recommend people start on it early. That way you have plenty of time. You don't want to wait. This is an online class. You have access to it. Don't wait till the middle of finals week when you've got everything else due and you're studying for a billion exams to start working on this project. Like, it's going to make your load so much lighter to get this done before finals week actually starts. It is due on December the 6th, but you can turn it in anytime before that. So these are also going to be helpful tools and resources. If you have questions about any assignments, again, send me an email. If you have questions about anything that we're doing in this class, send me an email. If you want me to look at an assignment before you turn it in for a grade, you can send it to me in an email. Attach it to the thing. Don't wait until the day before it's due or 2 days before it's due. Give me time to look at it. But especially if it's a big assignment like the final, send it to me. I'll be happy to look at it and give you feedback before you submit it for a grade. You're not in this alone. I'm here to help you. I'm not just teaching you and doling out assignments. I want you to succeed in this class. I want you to learn in this class. And I want to help you learn in this class. So anytime you have questions about anything, please, please, please reach out. I'm here to help you. Another helpful thing, I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier, is there's going to be a to-do list over here that's going to tell you what's due next. I still prefer looking at things in the module instead of over here because sometimes it gets things out of order and like it's going to help you to do the syllabus and plagiarism contract before you do the discussion kind of thing. But you can view that over here. Oh, one more thing. I think it's here. Yes, you'll get a course summary. A lot of things show up, even though they're not published. So I have a lot of like extra stuff in this class that we're not going to use. So sometimes they show up here. They don't always. It's kind of random. You never know when it's going to show up where. So if you see something here that has like an April or June or something crazy due date that's like before the semester started, it is an old assignment. Don't worry about it. Worry about what's actually in this semester. People were using this last semester and they were getting really confused. So that's, again, why I always recommend you go to modules. That should be everything for now. If anybody has any questions, again, send me an email. I'm going to harp on it over and over and over. Send me an email, send me an email, send me an email. But I say these things because I've had things happen in the past. But I look forward to this semester, and I wish you all the best of luck.